Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Yankees have won their 6th consecutive series. This one against the Texas Rangers, who they had just faced a couple of series ago in Texas. This one at Yankee Stadium, and so they finish a 7-game homestand, 6-1. And really, there was every reason to potentially lose this series. It would have been somewhat understandable. I mean, the games they won, Game 3 was Elmer Rodriguez versus Jacob DeGrom, where the Yankees were losing 3-0 in the first inning. I mean, it would be understandable. I mean, the Yankees had just come off of a 4-game sweep with the Orioles, but they find a way. They come back and they win that game. And then Game 3, Ryan Weathers did not pitch in this game due to an illness. He's going to be all right. He's going to pitch on Monday now. And so they kind of went with a Johnny Holstaff, Paul Blackburn for an inning. Brandon Beck makes his major league debut and he goes 3 innings plus. And the lineup was, on paper, kind of about as weak as it's been, especially with Jasson Domínguez getting hurt in the first inning on an unbelievable catch by Dominguez in left field, crashes against the wall. He's going to go on the IL, and Spencer Jones is going to be promoted. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But the game itself, again, with the pitching being where it kind of was and piecing it together, and the lineup really being pretty thin in terms of options, Ben Rice did not play at all this series, and they're still sticking to the fact that he won't go on the IL, but still, he wasn't in there. He wasn't an option. I mean, even Jose Caballero, who he's going to be all right. He actually came in late in the game. He didn't start, and he probably could have used a day off in general, but he got a little banged up in the second game, and the Yankees found a way to win that one as well. So even when kind of the odds are a little bit stacked against them, not terribly so, again, home against a Texas team that really doesn't have the greatest offense in the world, that's for sure. It's not as if it was, an unforeseen thing for the Yankees to pull it off. But again, if you told me based on everything I just explained, they lost 2 out of 3, I would have said, yeah, that's certainly possible. So 6 straight series wins for the Yankees, 26-12 now overall. And they need these wins because the Tampa Bay Rays simply don't lose. I mean, the Rays are, as I'm recording this, 24-12. They're going to start up a 4-game set at the Red Sox, and the Rays are coming off of a sweep home against the Blue Jays. So Yankees face the Rays in about 2 weeks. So it's going to be a very big series in an American League that has otherwise been horrific. Besides what the Yankees, especially the Yankees and the Rays, what those two teams are doing, besides that, and it's other teams are going to emerge, no question about it. But for now, that's kind of what you're looking at. So going back to the whole Dominguez-Jones part of it all, you feel really bad for Jasson Domínguez, who, gets an opportunity with Giancarlo Stanton going down to gain some fairly consistent playing time. And with Randall Grichuk designated for assignment, Dominguez certainly could have, kept the job to an extent. It doesn't sound like Stanton's coming back all that soon, which I'm not totally shocked by. But with that in mind, Dominguez was going to have some runway here. And the kid just can't really catch much of a break. And, it seems like the concussion side of it will be okay. He's in concussion protocol. All signs seem fine there, but it's an AC sprain in his left shoulder, which is going to lead to him being out a few weeks. Doesn't sound like it's going to be crazy long term, but now it leads to Spencer Jones. And I'm excited about Spencer Jones. I am. This could be a total fail, right? I mean, he is a guy that is prone to the strikeout, but in watching him in spring training, and as much as I have over the last couple of seasons, as much as possible, there's a lot of upside here. There's a tantalizing skill set that Spencer Jones provides, power speed combo. Look, he's one of those three true outcome type guys, right? When it comes to homers, walks, and strikeouts. So that is the frustrating part with him, is that, again, he is going to be susceptible to the K, but at the same time, very athletic for his size. First round pick back in 2022. He's going to make his debut in Milwaukee, so he deserves the call up. It makes sense, quite frankly. And I'm really excited about that, but feel bad for Dominguez. But Spencer Jones, look, this is a chance. There's no guarantee. Look, Jasson Domínguez, he can come back and the whole situation can be different. Whether that be if Stanton, who kind of gets back first, that remains to be seen. I would just be guessing at that point. But there is that part of it. And then again, Spencer Jones, like, if he were to do well, they will keep him up. If he doesn't, then that's a different story entirely. But Jones has a chance. He's going to have to impress, right? If Spencer Jones does kind of, so, that may not be enough. He's going to have to really, really open some eyes. But I think he's capable of doing it. So that's a big, big storyline here. I already kind of touched on the Ryan Weathers illness. Again, it kind of just moves the rotation around just a little bit, where it kind of pushes certain guys back. Not even, it's really not that significant, honestly. Weathers, he now will pitch game one of the Baltimore series starting next week. And so there is, I guess, some future ramifications for series beyond that. But at the end of the day, he ends up really getting pushed back about 3, 4 days. And that spot in the bullpen, it kind of it keeps on moving, where it went from Elmer Rodriguez. He gets sent in after his start because Carlos Rodon is going to take his spot in the rotation on Sunday in Milwaukee. So it went from Elmer Rodriguez to Yuri De Los Santos, who actually pitched well in mop-up duty in game 2. And then it goes to Brandon Beck. And now it'll probably go to someone else just for the 2 days until Carlos Rodon is back. So I think that kind of sums that up there as far as that roster spot. It's kind of a bit of a revolving door in between the time that Elmer Rodriguez was sent down and Carlos Rodon is activated. I think that kind of sums everything up. Ben Rice, again, continues to be day-to-day. I'm hoping we'll see him back at some point in the Milwaukee series. I don't know if he's back. I mean, look, we can't rule out injured list at this point. I still am going to take them at their word that he will avoid it, but it is concerning for how well he was doing. It sucks that the way he got hurt. Yankees are still doing fine in his absence, but Ben Rice was putting up some special numbers, and I hope that can continue whenever he does come back. But he's still on the active roster currently. Let's get into best player and worst player of this Texas series. And for the best one, a few candidates. To be honest with you, Brent Hedrick was in the running. I mean, I am very pleased with what he's done. And he actually won 2 of the games. Game 1 really was high leverage, clutch pitching. Game 3, not quite, not insignificant, but not quite as much. Ryan McMahon, he had a really nice series. He actually came off the bench in game 3 after Domínguez got hurt and had a really nice game. So he's picked it up in a pretty big way. And a few other guys as well. But I'm giving it to Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger has been white hot. He has been unbelievable. The numbers right now in the season, he's up to a 299 batting average, a 394 on base, and a 924 OPS with 28 RBIs. Unbelievable runners in scoring position numbers. He's really been an RBI machine. Clutch hitting. He's everything that you want in Cody Bellinger. It's everything that he does. Defensive versatility, all over the outfield. We haven't seen him much at first base as a Yankee, but that could happen at some point. But Bellinger in this series, he ends up going 6 for 10 with 2 doubles, a triple, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and no strikeouts. That might be my favorite part of it. 3 walks and no strikeouts. The guy, he's on a 9-game hit. He has not struck out, actually. It has been 6 straight games and no strikeouts for Cody Bellinger. And he is on a 9-game hitting streak. He looks locked in. Just spraying the ball all over the field and with some authority as well. So, yeah, Cody Bellinger all of a sudden, those are all, to me, these are all-star game type numbers right now for Cody Bellinger. And I hope he keeps it up. He is a very important part of the middle of that order. And especially, what's great with Ben Rice out, he is stepping it up even more. So Cody Bellinger is your best player of the series. Worst is actually the guy who was best last series. It's Will Warren. This is a pretty easy call. Will Warren, it's really his first rough outing of the season. He had been really, really pitching well. But unfortunately, look, if you're going to do it against Nathan Eovaldi, who the Yankees can't touch. Warren goes 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. It's his first loss of the season. I just want to confirm that this was really his first bad outing of the year. It was his first. He had allowed no more than 2 earned runs in each of his other outings, right? If I'm to look at it, I would say that his worst outing up until this point had been a start against the A's on April 8th, which again, I remember that he was kind of cruising along, then it kind of fell apart towards the end. You know what? To be fair, he wasn't that great against the Angels in his next start either. A little bit of a bump, in starts 3 and 4, where he actually had 4 runs, but none were earned. But he had a good walk to strikeout ratio. But this, too many walks, too many mistakes, and Will Warren, he's entitled to it. Again, he was doing really well. I still think that when Cole comes back, Warren is ahead of Weathers, but that's kind of the race right now. If they are to go to the 5-man rotation, which I'm sure they will, it's really a battle between Warren and Weathers. One that Warren leads right now, but also one that it's not impossible for Weathers to surpass, which is crazy to think about. Look, I think Warren stays in the rotation. But Weathers has pitched pretty well lately, and if Warren does pitch like that, he's going to be a little bit at risk. So anyway, let's go to game one. And this was between Elmer Rodriguez and Jacob deGrom. Look, Rodriguez, his calling card is strike throwing, and he didn't really do that in the 2 starts, both versus Texas, ironically. 4 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. Now, where you got to give Rodriguez some credit is all 3 runs were allowed in the first inning. And the Yankees, as we kind of found out with Weathers' illness and Warren not pitching well in game 2, it's kind of a thin sort of situation potentially as far as the whole Yankee landscape, the pitching. So good job by Albert Rodriguez to keep him in it and to get them. He almost went 5 innings. So that's where I think I want to give him a little bit of credit. Jacob deGrom, though, the Yankees got to him. He picks up his second loss of the season, the first one coming against the Yankees as well. 6 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts, and a couple of home runs to boot. So, here, in Rice, just to give you kind of a look at the lineup, I mean, Goldschmidt has been in for Rice at first base. Goldschmidt hadn't played for a while, and Paul Goldschmidt, he had a solid series. Like, he actually homers in this game. I think when he's been in there, he's more than held his own. That's where that depth comes in. And Jasson Domínguez, he would be the cleanup hitter in games 1 and 2. I believe. Didn't really do much in the 2 games that he was really in. I mean, game 3, he got hurt in the first inning. But anyway, rough first inning for Rodriguez in terms of just too many walks. You get a sac fly for Jock Peterson, an RBI steal for Ezekiel Duran. Ezekiel Duran, the former Yankee prospect who was traded in the Joey Gallo deal, was sensational in the series against the Yankees. I want to get the numbers on this. It was really all around good for Duran. He went 5 for 11. No, sorry. He went 5 for 10 with a double, a triple, a homer, 5 RBIs, and 4 walks, and a steal. Like, Ezekiel Duran was very, very good. So RBI steal for Duran, and then eventually a wild pitch scores a run. So, I mean, he threw a shit ton of pitches. I think he threw just shy of like 40 pitches in the first inning, but the Yankees showed some bounce back early. It is an RBI double for Cody Bellinger, and that was just the beginning of what he would do. And he almost homered. He almost homered against deGrom as well in that series last week, but made it 3-1. And then in the second inning, Ryan McMahon, 2-run homer. Ryan McMahon, his 3rd homer of the year. He has truly been very, very good. Like late, and not just like the last few series. Really, just I'll look at it, because I have it here in segments, and maybe there's another sort of cookie cutter way to go about it that's even stronger. But in his last 15 games, a 319 batting average, a slugging percentage of 511. Like he's really doing a lot better, Ryan McMahon. And look, the batting average is up to 223 with an OPS of 662. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's, but for where he was, it actually is. It's not terrible. And those numbers are better than what he did last year in the regular season for the Yankees. So a very good sign, a big 2-run homer to tie this thing up at 3. Rodriguez settles in, not a whole lot of action in the middle innings. But a good job by Brent Hedrick getting out of the 5th in a bases loaded 2-out jam. He strikes out Sam Haggerty. So there's a stat where Brent Hedrick, as far as inherited runners go, and I guess it now increases because of what he did today. I think it's like 14 inherited runners, none have scored. So not only does Brent Hedrick have a microscopic ERA of 1.37, but even better than that, he hasn't even allowed other people's runs. What he has done, he's that guy, right? We talk about every year, okay, who's going to step in the bullpen? This year, it's Brent Hedrick. It is. Um, and they've needed it. Bottom of the sixth, it's Jasson Jr. with a big home run. No doubt about it, shot. Fourth homer of the year, gives the Yankees a 4-3 lead. Other than that, Jazz had a bit of a quiet series. And again, for me, Jazz is a little bit too much like power, straight pulling the ball. Like I wish the Jazz would use the whole field. He has the ability, I feel like. But look, Jazz is certainly, I mean, that's what he does, right? This was a absolute moonshot, gives the Yankees a 4-3 lead. Hedrick had actually pitched the 1, 2, 3, 6 innings, so he actually got the win. Jazz homers, and then in the seventh, Tim Hill gets in a little bit of trouble actually. Gives up a couple hits to righties, but Fernando Cruz gets out of that 2-on, 1-out jam, and then about in the seventh, a big hit with 2 out, and the bases loaded after Judge was intentionally walked. Lefty Cody Bellinger 2-run double gives him much needed breathing room. Second double of the night for Cody, 6-3. Fernando Cruz gets into some trouble in the eighth inning. Right, so Cruz, it's funny. He got out of the Hill jam, but then he sets up a problem himself. Bases loaded, 1 out. David Bednar, he cleans up the jam. So it was kind of just a great job by the bullpen of getting out of other pitchers' jams, and so it remains 6-3. Bottom of the eighth, Paul Goldschmidt hits his second home run of the season, off a lefty. For first one of the season off a lefty, second overall, and then Bednar gives up a run in the ninth, but gets the save. 10th save of the season for Bednar, 5-out save. Yankees win 7-4. A real impressive, gutsy win for the Yankees there. Game two, Yankees pretty much just get dominated. Nathan Eovaldi added again. The Yankees only got 1 run in like 15 innings against Eovaldi in these 2 starts. Eovaldi wins to go to 4-4, 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, 8 strikeouts. The only mistake is solo shot by Aaron Judge. And for Will Warren, I already gave you his line. So, yeah, and this one, some early trouble for Warren. He gives up a homer to Seager in the first, his 7th homer of the season. And then in the third inning, it would be an RBI double for Ezekiel Duran, and then a mistake. And it really kind of felt like that was where Evan Carter hits a 2-run homer. Not a great pitch by Will Warren as he kind of hangs a sweeper down and in, right in the wheelhouse, and Carter hits it for a 4, to make it a 4-0 game. And then in the top of the fourth, a sac fly for Duran after a couple of walks allowed by Warren, an RBI single by Corey Seager, 6-0 Texas. And like I said, you get that 1 homer for Aaron Judge in the bottom of the 6th, 15th homer of the year for Judge. He leads the league in homers as I am recording this. Just want to make sure that's still the case. It is, as he has 1 more homer than Murakami. And Judge, I guess, is somewhat fortunate that Ben Rice has been out because Rice was obviously doing his thing. But that makes it 6-1. But an unsung hero is Yuriel Santos. 3 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Then Ryan Yarbrough gets the final 5 outs. But Yankee offense was really held down by Eovaldi. And we go to game 3 with the series kind of hanging in the balance. But the Yankees find a way. Even with Ryan Weathers not pitching, it would be Paul Blackburn going 1 scoreless inning. It was shaky at best. And Domínguez makes an unbelievable catch where he gets hurt in that first batter of the game. But Brendan Beck, in his major league debut, holds his own. It wasn't pretty. 3+ innings, 2 runs. It was 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. But, hey, could have been a lot worse. And for Texas, Mackenzie Gore just kind of ran out of some gas late. Was looking pretty good through 5 innings, but the 6th inning kind of is his undoing. He loses to go to 2-3, 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts for Mackenzie Gore. And like I said, right away, Domínguez the sad thing is it was such a good catch. Runs into the fencing of the left field wall, and his glasses pop off, and he was dazed. And but the left shoulder is more of the concern. So Bellinger moves over from right to left. Judge was the DH. Rosario moves over from third to right field, and Ryan McMahon, who was on the bench, comes in. First thing the Yankees do get on the board, it's a couple of triples. And what helped the Yankees was there was the sun was strong, and Texas was more affected. The Yankees were not as affected. The Texas just could not track the ball, and it did hurt them. It did. There was an effect, no question about it. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and the Rangers struggled. And they're a team, of course, that now in the last however long it's been, 4, I guess 5, 6 seasons now, they have that retractable roof. So not as used to it, I guess. But a couple of triples. Paul Goldschmidt with a triple, then Cody Bellinger. It's the first time the Yankees have had triples in the same inning since I think the stat was around 2015, where it was Carlos Beltran and Chase Headley. Not exactly the guys you'd expect to get triples, but I think that was the stat. So a little over a decade ago. But an RBI triple for Cody. Yankees had a chance for more. Because they won, I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but they did have some opportunities in the first and second inning where McMahon gets leadoff double in the second, but they don't take advantage of it. And then in the third inning, Ezekiel Duran, his second homer of the season, ties it up at 1. It's Brendan Beck that was on the mound at that point. And then we go to the fifth inning. Let's just go to the fifth. This is one of the things that happened, but not as relevant. And they pinch hit the lefty Texas. I would have went to Tim Hill right then and there, but they stick with Beck, I guess, trying to squeeze as many outs as they could. And he leadoff walks Alejandro Osuna, and then Tim Hill comes in and gives up a single to Brandon Nimmo to make it runners on the corners with nobody out. And then a great play by Jazz Chisholm Jr. on an RBI granted for Duran. Things could have been a lot worse there. So give Jazz credit. It's Beck's run, and the inning ends 2-1. So Tim Hill gives up an uninherited runner there. And Hill, it was a combination of Hill and Hedrick in the sixth. Bottom of the sixth, leadoff walk Bellinger, a very fortunate Rosario single where Osuna, because of the sun, he went back out, needed to go back in, and it dropped in. After a Jazz Chisholm pop out, a very close call Ryan McMahon walk, and the big blow of the game was a bases clearing lefty versus lefty double for Trent Grisham to make it 4-2. That was the play of the game, no doubt. Trent Grisham gives the Yankees the lead. They take Mackenzie Gore out, and then with 2 out, RBI single Oscara on kind of a check swing situation for him. RBI single Aaron Judge, RBI single Cody Bellinger. Yankees break it open to 7-2. You get 3 more outs from Tim Hill in the 7th, so it was actually a 5-out outing. Sorry. Brent Hedrick. It was Hill for the 5 outs initially, Hedrick for 4 outs there. In the bottom of the 7th, you actually get the first hit as a Yankee for Max Schumann, and Schumann was the starting shortstop in this game for Caballero. Schumann gets an RBI double to make it 8-2. 8th inning rolls around. Jake Bird throws a scoreless 8th inning. In the bottom of the 8th, Ryan McMahon gets an RBI single to make it 9-2. And then the 9th, Camilo Doval with a scoreless 9th inning. They gave the Yankees a 9-2 win. 26-12 are the Yanks, and they win their 6th consecutive series. So now we go to Milwaukee. Let's discuss some of these pitching matchups. And again, it will be the debut of Spencer Jones, which is going to be very exciting. The first game is Max Fried against Jacob Mizorowski. The Yankees almost caught a break and didn't face Mizorowski, but a rainout from Milwaukee made it so that the Yankees will face Mizorowski, who throws very, very hard. He has the best strikeout rate in baseball. He will be tough. Max Fried, though, is coming off of somewhat of a rough outing, and Fried's always good at that bounce-back outing, so expect a really good matchup here in Game 1. The Yankees are facing 3 really solid young pitchers for the Brewers. Game 2, another good young matchup between Cam Schlittler and lefty Kyle Harrison, who was acquired in the offseason from the Red Sox, off to a solid start. And then another good young pitcher for Milwaukee is right-hander Logan Henderson going up against Carlos Rodon, who will be making his 2026 Major League debut. And we'll hope to get off to a decent start. We'll see. Expectations for me are a little bit low for him, again, just with him getting going here. But this is a series that if they were to lose 2 of 3, it would be acceptable, given how well they've done. Now, look, the only caveat I'll say to that is you do have Fried and Schlittler pitching. So with that, when they're both in there in a series, you really, you want to get the 2 of 3 if you can get it. But I do, if I'm being honest here, if the Yankees were to lose, again, getting swept, that's unacceptable, right? Like, just under any circumstance. But losing 2 of 3, I could understand why that could happen here, but hopefully not. And hopefully, we could talk about this series coming out of it with Spencer Jones hopefully having hit his first home run in the majors. But, feel bad for Jasson Domínguez, but happy for Spencer Jones to get his shot. And the Yankees continue to find ways to win by winning their 6th consecutive series against Texas, finishes off a 6-1 homestand. And now they will hit the road and will take on the Milwaukee Brewers for what will begin actually a 9-game road trip for the Yanks, which does include the Mets, the back end. So a little bit misleading in that sense, but 9 games away from Yankee Stadium, and it all starts in Milwaukee.